I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. We are now learning that Donald Trump, through his lawyers and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, dating back to 2021, was actually lying to the National Archives about the documents being stored in Mar-A-Lago, according to a blockbuster report from the Washington Post, which was just released. Donald Trump, through Mark Meadows, had the White House lawyers, specifically White House counsel Pat Philbin, reassure the National Archives with false information that the documents that were at Mar-a-Lago included just news clippings and didn't involve any top secret information at all, and that it was nothing to worry about, and to also tell the National Archives that Donald Trump didn't dispose or destroy of any records, which all turned out to be false. According to sources with knowledge of these communications, Mark Meadows had told Pat Philbin about all of the representations that should be made to the National Archives. Mark Meadows' role in this is now far more intimate than anyone had previously known before this report, although many of us, of course, suspected. But apparently Mark Meadows was telling the lawyer, Pat Philbin, to tell the National Archives all of these lies. And Pat Philbin didn't conduct, apparently, any further investigation to determine if what Mark Meadows was telling him was true or not, but simply relayed the fact that he had been told. It was his understanding, in other words, from what Mark Meadows and what Trump were saying, that it was just news clippings, nothing had been destroyed, and this was going on throughout 2021. Of course, in January of 2022, when the National Archives didn't just accept these bare accusations or bare allegations, what the National Archives discovered when they obtained the 15 boxes and said, well, we need to get the boxes, were top secret, sensitive, compartmented information intermingled with the news clippings and with the other information, as though Trump and his team believed if the documents were all just kind of thrown together and mixed together, somehow the National Archives wasn't going to find the top secret, sensitive, compartmented information in there. But this adds a whole new layer of the obstruction and lies and false statements that were, of course, being made by Trump and his team after they left the White House in January of 2021 until January of 2022, when the National Archives finally got these 15 boxes and discovered the top secret, sensitive, compartmented information in there. When the National Archives found that information, they made the referral to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice pursued the investigation, and thereafter Trump and his team continued to lie, continued to obstruct, even going so far as on June 3rd to have a Trump lawyer who's believed to be Christina Bobb sign a declaration falsely attesting that all of the classified information and all of the documents were turned over to the Department of Justice. And of course, that wasn't the case, because there was an additional 27 boxes of government documents and other documents that were found during the August 8th search at Mar-a-Lago, including the top secret, sensitive, compartmented information. Indeed, there are 100 classified records that are vitally important to our national security, the Department of Justice says, and other reports, including a Washington Post previous blockbuster report, said that it even included nuclear secrets belonging to at least one foreign country. Now, Pat Philbin has actually already spoken to the Department of Justice in connection with its inquiry here, as well as in connection with its inquiry as it relates to January 6th. So it is likely that this is one of the areas that they probed and that they got further information from. And Philbin was likely, just like Pat Cipollone, was likely cooperating during these meetings with the FBI. Philbin and Cipollone also gave testimony before the grand jury, as I mentioned, investigating January 6th. Previously today, we posted another video on YouTube that I'll tell everybody to check out. And this was from an interview that I had discovered from Kash Patel, which he gave in May on his own to Breitbart. And in that interview, I thought it's a blockbuster interview. No one has talked about it before. MeidasTouch has kind of re-brought that up. So go back to look at that interview. But in this Breitbart article, Kash Patel actually says that Donald Trump specifically brought the documents to Mar-A-Lago because of their significance to national security, their relation to Russia, their relation to Ukraine, and their relation to the national security. And so all of these representations, this was somehow news clippings or just a storage issue, we all knew to be BS, but very specifically that Kash Patel saying that Trump brought these records adds, again, an additional layer here to rebut any of Trump's claims that this was just some storage issue. There was clear intent established if you just look at Kash Patel's own words. Now, Kash Patel claims that he was there, nobody else was there, and Donald Trump just told him, hey, I want these documents declassified. And Kash Patel actually blames White House counsel, whether that's Pat Philbin or another White House lawyer, saying they failed to properly document it, which will be further interesting as the Department of Justice speaks to the White House counsel, because they're likely going to say we were never, but they probably have already said it. We know from reports that they were never even asked to try to document any of these declassification orders because they didn't happen. And in any event, declassification is not an element of any of the national security crimes Donald Trump is being investigated for, which is simply stealing state secrets, stealing government records that don't belong to you, regardless of the classification status, and mutilating them, concealing them, obstructing an investigation, just taking them, and they don't belong to you. So another layer in this information, in this investigation into Donald Trump stealing these documents and keeping them at Mar-A-Lago. It just all the more makes Judge Eileen Cannon's corrupt orders just feel so corrupt. I mean, the fact that she would go out and say it's unclear that classified records would belong to the current executive branch is one of the most absurd and offensive rulings to any notion of law and order that there is. But that's what you come to expect with Trump and MAGA. Steal top secret compartmented information, steal nuclear secrets, and the Trumpers will defend that. They don't care about our troops. They don't care about you. They don't care about the community. They don't care about anything. They care about their fascist cosplay cult that worships Donald Trump. Despicable. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right now. Hit the subscribe button right now to join the Meidas Mighty movement. Also, if you want to help grow the MeidasTouch Network, we're not funded by billionaires or millionaires. In fact, we have zero, zip, zilch outside investors. The way we operate is we are fueled by democracy, fueled by you. And so if you want to be a part of the growth of this network, you can do that. Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. That's patreon.com/MeidasTouch. 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 There are different membership tiers, from exclusive content. You could be named as a producer of the MeidasTouch podcast. There are postcards that me and my brothers will be sending out, other behind the scenes footage and features, exclusive podcasts, and more. And also helping out there helps fund these videos. It helps fund our operations. So go over to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. And if you want to also get the MeidasTouch gear, go to store.MeidasTouch.com, store.MeidasTouch.com. Some of the best pro-democracy merch out there. Ton of bestsellers like Row, Row, Row Your Vote, Rowvember, because that's what's going to happen in November. It's going to be Rowvember. We got Convict and Convict 45 shirts and more. Your favorite merch at store.MeidasTouch.com. I'm Ben Meiselas. Until next time, let's keep fighting for our democracy.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs, It Wasn't Rigged, You're Just a Loser, at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.